We built btwb to support independent gyms. These gym owners have unique journeys that led them to create incredible communities in their towns or cities all around the world. Spotlight is going to help tell these stories and celebrate these people. All right, man. John, I appreciate you linking up with me today to talk about your gym.
Sure, you bet.
So let everybody know who are you? What's the name of your gym? Where are you located?
Okay, my name's John Houston. I own Pacific Crest CrossFit in Portland, Oregon.
I have to tell you, if the screen was black
Yeah.
and then a, somebody from Portland popped on, you would be the person from Portland. You've got the Portland look, my friend.
Portland jumped right out.
It jumped right off the screen and bit me. Are you a lifelong Portland guy?
I yes, I was born here. I'm 53, so I was born here in 71, and then I went in the Army at 18, and I was in for 21 years and out of Portland for 25. So I
Okay.
got into CrossFit in the Army. Um, and my last duty station was in Virginia. And so I did CrossFit at a local gym there and ended up co-owning that CrossFit RVA for a few years.
Okay.
And then when I moved back to Portland, which was in 2013, I opened Pacific Crest.
Where were you stationed in Virginia?
Fort Eustis.
Oh man, I know Fort Eustis.
Yep. We've run in similar circles.
Okay, no kidding. That's funny. Small world.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah. And
Man,
actually, I
okay.
know I don't would never expect you to remember because for me, there's, for most CrossFit people, there's one Pat Sherwood, but for you, there's thousands of CrossFitters. But I did the old level 2 with you, Boz, and Chuck Carswell up at Fort Meade in like 2008. And
Oh, wow.
I did not pass, but it was like the best experience. I mean, just the level of training was really, really high quality.
So that's back when, at that time, what was called the level two, I guess these days would be the level four.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
The
And
in-person coaching. Man, those were brutal.
they were, and you guys were very clear that this is like really, really hard. But I walked away from the weekend. I was like, are you walking away from this weekend to have this thing, or are you walking away from this weekend with training? And I got training. So it was like, it's really, really worth it. So yeah.
That's really cool. Did you always have it in the back of your mind post the military to open a gym? Or,
No.
what led to that?
No, I mean, like I said, a buddy of mine who you might know, I don't know. Do you know Alex Racy?
Oh,
Um,
yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
I know, Alex.
Yeah. So Alex and I are really good friends. We've been stationed together kind of on and off throughout our careers. And we
Dude's
were
a
in Iraq.
stud.
Yeah, oh my, he's a machine. And we were in Iraq together in '07. And he's like, you gotta try this thing. And so I remember I had my old, the old green like military book logbooks. I had
Yes,
one of
sir.
those. First workout was Linda, and I did I went back and looked at it. I think it took like 55 minutes. I went to the level 1 uh maybe just shy of a year later and realized I had not been doing CrossFit the whole time. Like, it was like, because of course back then we did Fran, and I'm like, what is happening? Actually, you were there
Yeah.
too. I got my first muscle up at that level 1. But I remember Alex was there, and one of the other guys, I can't remember his name, but he was a PJ. And
Okay.
on one of the breaks, Al's like, "Is there anything you want to work on?" And the PJ guy was there too. I'm like, I really got to get this clean thing down. And so they're like, "Okay, grab the bar," and I grabbed the bar, and they're like, "Go ahead." And I could just tell by the look on their faces that what I was doing was not anyone.
Not the end goal.
No, 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 it was not. So, anyways, I went from there to a CrossFit gym, and that was CrossFit RVA. And the guys that ran that were in college, and they were like 22. And a few months after I joined there, they one of them graduated. He's like, I'm leaving. You want to buy me out? And I'm like, sure. It was like 2 grand in a rower, you know? And I'm like, we were in like 900 square feet and I was still in active duty. So my business partner, who I'm very good friends with still, we're not partners anymore, but named Jake. I was like, I'll coach when I'm here, you know, but of course I was older and had a lot of experience. So I did a lot of good infrastructure building and
Okay.
a lot of coaching. So I kind of fell into ownership there and then loved it, you know? And so when I moved back, came back here and did it. So yeah,
And, you know, I believe I've been to your gym.
I would
In,
be in Portland. Yeah. You have
yeah.
been to this gym. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Hmm.
Yep. Many, many years ago, I think for a drop in early in the morning. And I don't remember what it was, but I just remember that it was difficult and I was half awake and it was challenging. And
Yeah.
but that was it. So you opened up the gym and you said, you know, in your email, kind of give me a little bit of backstory about your gym that you've positioned it rather intentionally as being a community gym as opposed to more of a competitive gym. How how in your mind do you define those two categories? And then why did you lean more heavily towards one than the other?
Yeah. I mean, I'll try not to pontificate too much, but I think one of the reasons most of us really love CrossFit is it threads the needle so nicely for between so many metaphors for like real life. You know, it's like I think the healthiest balance is what happens in most very healthy CrossFit gyms between balancing competitiveness and encouragement.
Mm,
And I've been in gyms, not very often, but I've been in gyms where that competitiveness gets a little out of balance
mm-hmm.
and and then it gets clicky and then the encouragement goes and you get in that kind of that death spiral. Um, that's not to say they're all like that. I mean, CrossFit Fort
Sure.
Vancouver's right up the road. They're definitely what you would consider a competitive gym, but also a very healthy, wonderful environment. I've been there several times.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I started to see it when I co-owned the other gym in Virginia with RXing on the board. It became so like important to get that thing on the
Oh
board.
yeah, man.
Yeah.
Oh
And
yeah.
I struggled with that a little because I do believe in like, you know, I don't believe in the universal award, right? But it just so when I opened this gym, we just didn't do it. You know, it was just like there was no RX on the board.
Okay, that's what I was gonna say. What do you mean you didn't do it? Because I'm curious is when you said you were pretty intentional about making it a community gym, what does that mean? So that maybe you're about to go down that path.
But yeah, I mean, so that would be a really obvious first step was I programmed for years and finally saw the light of paying for programming a couple years ago. But when I did it in 3 levels and but there was no indication what level you did that day. You know, you just wrote your we just wrote your time up there. And
Mm-hmm.
um and and for our community that really worked nicely because at least what I have found is that people they know, you know, they know who's doing this and who's doing that, and they're kind of naturally kind of flow to their own level, and they kind of see their targets in a healthy way, like that person's near me but better and I want to that I'm going to emulate their performance and then but that person's out in the stratosphere for now and so that was one very important way. I mean, I think some of it's probably just the normal stuff that all gyms do. Um, we're
I
big on
like that though. I mean, you know, I always say that in my humble opinion that like fitness is easy, people are hard.
yeah,
You know, I mean, it's the workout really at the end of the day, whatever the heck the workout is, honestly, it's just a recommendation,
yeah,
you know,
yep,
that you should feel authorized to mold to wherever you are in your fitness journey, you know, and it's a general recommendation. You know, if we went heavy below parallel yesterday, I'm probably not going to recommend that we go heavy below parallel today. So the recommendation is going to be based upon where we've gone, but It also depends, are you 25, 35, 45, 55, or 65 years old? You're all going to need to go below parallel, but it's probably going to look, I mean, or not below parallel based on yesterday, but it's going to look a bit different. Like it's this recommendation. So I think if you can create a culture in your gym that we understand the goals, everyone here is just trying to get fit. And you all have similar needs, but you're all also unique. And if we
Right.
can like get that light bulb going on, I think you're in a good place.
Yeah, it's tough, right? I mean, Greg Glassman has said that from the day one, right? We need it's similar in kind, right? So like,
Hmm.
um, but I mean, I watch your podcast. I know like it's a hard thing, especially in a person's initial couple years journey with CrossFit, to see the forest for the trees, that it's not you're not going to ever cross the finish line. I joke that CrossFit is like life. You're never good enough, so you don't have to win in your first year, um, but you're navigating those conversations as you go. And one of the ways that I've had this conversation, my wife's a coach and with several of the other coaches, that I am more likely now to log a workout and be on the whiteboard scaled than I am RX, because I want the members to see that. I want it to
Hmm.
be like, this is, if the owner's doing it or one of the coaches is doing it, then that is the way to do it. Right. So,
That's cool.
yeah. So that's just, you just got to drop breadcrumbs sometimes. And
What's your explanation? Because I'm thinking that maybe some gym owners will watch this and be like, oh, interesting. Like maybe that's crossed my mind, but we haven't done it. Oh, this guy's doing it and doing it well. What's How do you have the conversation? Because I would assume it's popped up that, maybe your gym knows how you roll, but you get a drop in from somebody else, and they're looking at the board and they're going, which one's RX? And then
Mhm.
what's the reply?
Well, I mean, it depends on what we're doing, right? I mean, now we just switched to HWPO programming.
Okay.
And so HWPO has RX, and they even have an RX plus, which so on some days. So I write those designations with the workout.
I see. Okay.
But I don't record what the athlete did with their time. So
I see.
only
Okay.
they kind
Gotcha.
of know. But we do have those conversations, and it's been interesting. When we first started paying for programming, we started with NC Fit. We did that for 2 years, and then we just switched to HWPO. And it is a good point of conversation, because when you program for your own gym, and you know this better than anybody, because I love your programming, is the RX workout is the workout, and then you scale down. And I tell people, when I was programming, I would think of, if we're doing deadlifts that day, the male and female athlete in the gym who have the highest deadlift, and then whatever percentage I wanted to work off of, I would work off those numbers. I did levels, so that would be the level 3 version.
Hmm.
Would scale from there. And then, but when we went to a global programming platform like NC Fit or HWPO, then people walk in and they see, in NC Fit it was performance, in HWPO it's RX or RX plus, and they see this deadlift number, right? It's like,
Hmm.
this is 315 deadlifts today. And I say, look, you know, I have that whole conversation. I said, when I was programming for the gym, it's this, but this platform is programming for a global audience. So that 315 is going to be a percentage off of 550, or not 550,
Hmm.
but 450,
Sure.
500.
Right. Yeah.
And so don't put the pressure on yourself to do that.
Yep.
So let's take 450 and let's back plan what 315 is, find that percentage and do the work there.
100%.
Yeah, but we do that a lot, and our coaches are, it's part of our conversation with our members, where these, just as you said, any number of these levels, we could have 4 of them. They're just talking points.
Yep.
You may do the level 2 weight, and you're going to do the level 1 technical movement, and we're going to and we go to each person, what's your plan and what are we doing today? And it just becomes so I don't feel like many people feel like I have to do that exactly the way it is on any.
That's cool. That's
Yeah.
very cool. Something else you mentioned, which I just think it's really cool. I feel fortunate. I get to talk to a lot of gym owners. And when I cross paths with somebody that has like a dedicated real master's program, I think that's pretty awesome. So you mentioned that you have what you refer to as a true master's program, and you've had it for a while. So like the last 10 years. So
10 years.
what
Yeah.
is that all about? What does it look like?
Sure. I mean, it was super, like most things, it was incidental. My parents would come to class the first year we were open, and they, at that point, they were in their mid 60s and they were fit. I mean, they were, um, you know, they were on the level 1 fit level, but they could do it, right?
Hmm.
I mean, my mom, she can still climb ropes and do all
Oh,
those
that's
things.
impressive.
Yeah, I mean, they're great. But then my aunt wanted to join, and it was going to be like, that's not possible. We're not putting that level of pressure on our coaches. So we built a little cohort, and they were all retired, and so they had some flexibility. And so we identified 3 days a week, a time that they could do it. And then it kind of grew from there. So it was like my parents, my aunt and uncle, then it was my best friend's parents. And then now we have a decent amount of folks that have just seen it on the website and don't have any kind of like relationship to anyone here. And it's great. And it is programmed on its own. My wife runs that class, she programs for it, and they do great. It's a normal CrossFit class. They warm up, they do strength, they do a workout, and they do progressions. They're always working through a 6 or 8 week cycle of something. Sometimes it's more mobility focused, but mostly it's strength.
Hmm. And you
Mhm.
said there's a minimum age requirement?
We put it at 60 because the term masters is like, it's all over the place, right? You can be 36 and be a master, and those people are,
Right.
they're crushing it. So I didn't want like a 55-year-old to walk into a class of 75-year-olds, and
Hmm.
because a 55-year-old can still be in the normal class. And so
Hmm.
we were like, all right, how about 60? And we do have one, I think, 65-year-old and a 66-year-old. And they do great. It You know how it is. I mean, like I said, they're a cohort. So they're always together. They are friends, they're doing the deal every day. So once they know each other, it's great. But primarily we're mid 70s to early 80s. It's largely old folks.
That's pretty cool, man. And do you know in that cohort, if since it's been around for so long, has it been, where they initially, after been in the class for a while, they show up for their annual exam with their physician, things either look good or improving, ask what you're doing. Hey, I'm squatting and deadlifting and I'm 70, and the doctor's like, what in the world? What are you doing? Like, have you heard some of those conversations,
Yeah,
and how are
sure.
they
Yeah,
going?
it's good. I mean, initially the biggest things that we saw initially are like some weight loss, right? Nobody was obese, but you see them getting
Hmm.
trimmer. And so then yes, there are those stories like, what's happening in your life that you to do this? Well, I'm doing CrossFit. What? What? But by and large, um, the their medical support people are supportive because
That's really
they're
cool.
everything's looking pretty good. My aunt, who she was the second to join us, she was the one I referenced. The whole reason she wanted to join was she'd fallen twice, she'd broken a wrist,
Mm.
and she just didn't want that risk anymore. And so we do a little more balance coordination with them, like we have lacrosse balls, and we do right hand to right hand, left hand, right hand to left hand, that kind of stuff
Awesome.
to keep that kind of business sharp as well. So I think the commitment level with that cohort is higher because they're training for the real world.
No
Like,
joke.
yeah, I mean, for real. Like we bandy those terms around in CrossFit. But at their age and what they're kind of looking ahead to, they're like, this is critical to my existence. So
Independent living.
yeah, exactly.
And fall prevention, or heaven forbid, if you do fall, like be durable, be strong, having, done whatever your version of a burpee or push-up looks like, so you can hopefully brace for it, or
Or
doesn't
get
matter.
back up.
Doesn't matter if it's 4 inches, right? Like, are you jumping on something, so you're not like dragging your feet when you walk and all that stuff. Like, those are big things.
They are big things. And like that, we have that in various degrees, but we have like the drop pads and maybe that's the box jump, maybe it's a 10-pound
Yes.
plate. But yeah, they're training for real life. So they're really some of our most committed, members.
Man, that's cool. And like you said, if you are eventually speaking to the physicians, they can have, if they do, whatever initial preconceived notion of CrossFit or any fitness program they have based on social media, the internet. But then if you're seeing this person that you've seen for years, like the results speak for themselves. If they are fitter, faster, and stronger, and their blood work looks good, you're like, well, I guess I have to tell you to keep doing what you're doing because I'm not going to tell you to not. I mean, things look great,
Right.
And
And they were skeptical. I mean, it's like,
of course.
they come in just like most CrossFitters, they come in from like a fitness background, right? Whether that's kind of water aerobics or, a group
Hmm.
class at the local athletic club. And just like most people who come into a CrossFit gym, that's not doing what I want it to do,
Right.
And then here we are, and this is now doing what they want it to do.
Well, that's cool. Again, the doctor can't argue with results because results matter. And so, I guess the whole like results matter thing is also linked to why you and I are talking. Like BTWB tracks data,
Yep.
it takes the guesswork out. So with your gym, you get a lot of options out there. Why did you choose BTWB? Why is it a help to what you're trying to do?
I mean, I would say initially, I think we started with Beyond the Whiteboard in probably 4 years ago. And it was probably just the most on my radar. It was
Mm-hmm.
like I kind of knew most about it. So initially it was just let's throw a dart.
Yep.
Uh, but what I realized, and I know we're going to talk about this in more detail, but the reason that I switched back end platforms to go with going on the whiteboard is because in my initial experience is there's two things that I've really been very impressed with is uh their kind of constant commitment to iterate better. They're always iterating better, and their accessibility for feedback. I mean, they're very accessible and open to feedback, and even if I'm like I have a question and I'm wrong, they're going to address it. No, that's no, you got to do it this way, that type of thing. So those were the initial one was just kind of coincidental, and then but my
Mm-hmm.
decision to make the second decision was based on my experience there.
I'm glad you said it because I definitely have a bias, but what you said has been my experience as well, which is some people just love what they do.
Yeah.
Those guys love building tech. Like
Yeah.
they're gonna wake up tomorrow morning and you're gonna think about what you think about. I'm gonna think about what I think about. They're gonna think about, okay, this is what we got. How could it be better today? Like, and that's gonna be the next day and the next day. It's just what makes them tick, and we kind of get to reap the benefits of it, which is good because I'm not tech savvy, to be quite
Right.
honest. Like I just benefit from the toys. Uh, I'm curious, you've had an interesting, journey of experience from being a gym member to a owner out there in Virginia to now in Portland as well, and you've been doing it for quite some time. Just advice, recommendations to people watching who are maybe new gym owners and looking to learn some lessons, without they don't have a decade or more under their belt, or to somebody who's on the fence and thinking about opening a gym, what would just be your reflections of a couple of bullet points that maybe you wish you knew years ago that you do now as a more seasoned gym owner?
Yeah, I mean, there's the coaching lessons that we learn through experience, which are, you know, calm down, say less, um, those things. But I think we kind of learn those over time, and probably, and we get better because we learn over time. But I would say a little bit more directly around. Let's just take this conversation around beyond the whiteboard as an example. There's other places in your business we do this, but is just automate, automate, automate. I mean, it's like it was really hard for me to give up the reins of programming. I did it from 2008 to 2020,
Wow.
and for many years I programmed for my gym and my old gym in RVA. And there's a certain level, I know plenty of gym owners, and there's a certain level of like pride that goes with programming.
Sure.
And it's one of the creative outlets of CrossFit, which is really nice. But I guess things also, there's a confluence of things. CrossFit's consistently gotten more professional over the years. And so, one, just the level of professionalism in good programming now is so high when you start taking into account warm ups, strength versus technical phases, the workout, then all of the demo videos that can go with that,
Hmm.
coaches notes and so forth. I mean, I think HWPAO is $179 a month. It's the best. I mean, I don't know how many dollars my hour is worth, but
Right.
it is certainly worth, that, because
It's worth your
programming
time.
is so, I mean, because you do it, but it's so time consuming. And also, it's really time consuming to do it right. And so sometimes you either consume a lot of time doing it right, or you consume less time and you do it not quite as right, which I've been
Right.
both, So
Right.
uh so anyways, I would say automation in that case, that's one case of automation, is completely take advantage as early as
Get
possible.
your time back so you can spend it other areas of your business.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah.
It's cool. Hey, I'm not too far from you. I'm just up here outside of Seattle. So I'll tell you, every now and then we find ourselves down in the greater Portland area for our boys play like AAU basketball, and there'll be a tournament down there every now and then. So we'll do the drive. So if I find myself down there for an extended period of time, I have to hit you
Please.
up.
Yeah.
And vice versa, if you find yourself in the Seattle area, let me know.
I will. I will. Yeah.
Okay.
You're always welcome. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate it, John. Well, thanks, brother. Wish you guys nothing but the best, and I hope you don't get as much rain as we're getting.
Okay. Yeah, we're starting sun today, but Portland is Portland. So thanks, Pat.
Exactly.
I appreciate your time.
Yeah, man, take it easy.